Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Get ready, because today we're literally stepping right into the scales of a wild rattlesnake. We're going to experience the brutal, the beautiful, and the honestly kind of terrifying life cycle of this creature firsthand. We're not just rattling off dry facts today, pun intended. We are taking a full-on, immersive journey into the wild. Let's get into it.
So I want you to imagine yourself right now, but not as a human. Picture yourself as a tiny, incredibly weak, newborn snake. You've just been dropped into a harsh, unforgiving, totally unpredictable desert environment, and you are completely alone. The stakes, well, they literally could not be higher. The heat is already pressing down on you like a heavy blanket. The real question is, are you actually going to survive this very first day? Picture this. You're tucked away, hidden out of sight amongst these jagged rocks and bone-dry vegetation. And honestly, you're feeling an overwhelming sense of helplessness and vulnerability right now. Suddenly, the ground beneath you thrums. You sense vibrations. Something huge is out there, moving around in the sandy golds and warm browns of the desert. You're just gripped by fear, right? Your tiny body is coiled up super tight, remaining perfectly still. You're starving, you're tiny, and there are terrifying predators out there just waiting for you to slip up. Okay, let's dive right into this. Part 1. Birth in the hostile desert. Right off the bat, there's a massive, glaring gap between where you are right now and where you need to end up. On one hand, you've got your current state, a super vulnerable hatchling. You're weak, you have to stay hidden, and you're practically terrified of your own shadow. But the end game, that's becoming the master predator, a formidable, territorial, perfectly camouflaged force of nature. Your entire life is going to be a massive struggle to cross that giant canyon between those two realities. Literally every single second is a high-stakes test of your emerging instincts. Moving on to part 2, learning the survival instinct. As you grow into your sort of snake childhood, your natural curiosity slams right into some pretty brutal wilderness lessons. But this is where you discover your absolute secret weapon: heat-sensing pits. These are just incredible biological organs that let you detect the tiniest little changes in infrared radiation. It's crazy. You can literally see the body heat of a little rodent scurrying around in pitch black darkness. This is the biological game changer that begins to flip the script, turning you from the hunted right into a lethal hunter. So very cautiously, you start to explore. You learn to read those subtle little vibrations rippling through the dirt. You figure out how to weave your body into the rocky crevices of the canyon, basically mastering the art of camouflage. You quickly learn you've got to hide deep under warm stones when those freezing desert nights hit. You practice your striking by hunting tiny insects, getting your first real meals. And then something really magical happens. You shed your skin for the very first time. You slither out of those tight old scales, leaving them behind in the dry grass, and emerge larger, stronger, and one step closer to adulthood. Which brings us to part 3. Drought, predators, and struggle. Look, nature doesn't pull its punches. It is merciless. Hunger, heat, absolute exhaustion. Your new strength is immediately put to the test. A devastating drought hits the desert, drying the riverbeds to dust. You feel this deep, agonizing hunger and a tiredness that just sinks right into your bones. Failed hunt after failed hunt. It is incredibly lonely out there in the vast wilderness. And the danger? It literally never stops. You barely escape coyotes trying to dig you out of your burrow. You feel the terrifying shadow of giant hawks circling overhead, their sharp eyes scanning for your exact shape. You even feel the heavy, thudding boots of humans walking by. In this brutal reality, it's your instinct, and I mean instinct alone, that keeps you breathing. Next up, part 4, adulthood and the patient ambush. Now, what's really interesting about this next phase is, well, years have passed. You actually survived. You grew. You learned, and finally, you hit adulthood. That frantic, panicky fear of your younger days, it slows down into this quiet, incredibly patient confidence. You practically own your territory now, having perfected the high-stakes art of the ambush. It's a meticulous process. First, you coil up in the shadows, sensing the faintest vibrations. Second, you stay perfectly still, blending flawlessly into the rocky grays and warm desert browns. You're a ghost. Third, as soon as prey wanders into your heat-sensing vision, boom, you strike with terrifying precision. And finally, you just pull back, flicking your tongue to patiently track the scent of your prize. You are the absolute master of patience. All right, part 5, major trials and narrow escapes.
Now, just because you're an adult doesn't mean you're suddenly completely safe. No way. The wild always collects a toll. This whole chapter of your life is just a roller coaster of hard-won victories and crazy, painful, near-death escapes. You're constantly adapting to the changing seasons. One minute, you're navigating terrifying spring floods that wash your home away, and the next, you're baking in a summer drought where water is just a total myth. But you also fiercely defend your turf from rivals, and when the autumn mating season rolls around, you are fighting tooth and nail to pass on your legacy. Despite all the chaos, your survival instincts ensure a whole new generation of hatchlings is going to get their shot in the hidden burrows. I really want you to take a second and just let this sink in. Patience and instinct means survival in the quiet brutality of the wild. I mean, wow. That right there is the whole core theme of your existence. Every single strike, every skin you shed, every long day spent hiding under a hot rock, it literally all comes down to those two things.
And finally, we arrive at part 6, scars, age, and final rest.
So eventually, the seasons do start to catch up with you. That relentless grind of survival, yeah, it takes a heavy toll. You're older now, you're moving a lot slower. Those beautiful scales of yours are heavily scarred up from years of dodging predators and scraping against harsh terrain. You still get to see those misty, gorgeous sunrises and the sandy golds of the desert, but catching a meal, it's fading. It takes way more effort to coil, way more energy to strike. But you know what? There's a real peacefulness to it too. You remember every single inch of your familiar territory. You made it through the final seasons. You wear the marks of a long, incredibly victorious life in a world that was literally designed to break you. And so, seeking a little comfort, you find a quiet, hidden spot deep beneath the warm earth, and you're finally ready to rest. So, as your energy slowly fades back into that quiet earth you originally came from, you've got to wonder, what kind of legacy does a master of the ambush actually leave behind? Well, you leave behind an incredible testament to resilience, a tiny echo out there in the canyon, and honestly, a profound respect for this hidden, raw, and beautiful world that's existing right beneath our feet. Thank you so much for coming along on this incredible journey with me for today's Explainer. I really hope it leaves you curious to go out and discover the wild wonders right around us.